Good afternoon, friends, and thank you very much for being here this afternoon. And I must say I'm delighted that the sort of response that I got for not being able to meet you last week indicates that you are really missing out on meeting me. So I'm grateful to you all for that heartfelt desires that you have communicated, both orally and also sometime in print. I would like to assure you that we will always be there to try and communicate with you in various ways, and we'll try and be available at your beck and call. That said, let's come down to more rudimentary business, and I have a couple of announcements to make, following which I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have on those announcements or on anything else that you may like to ask other than those announcements. The first one is about the visit today of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and African Integration of Chad. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and African Integration of Chad, Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, is in Delhi today, and he met the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Salman Khurshid. Now, this is the first bilateral interaction at this level between India and Chad, and therefore it has its own importance. It was an opportunity for us to exchange views on the current situation in the region there. As you are aware, the situation of Chad is very important in the current ongoing issues that are plaguing that region. Chad was involved in Mali a little earlier during the year and has emerged as an important economic and political player in that region. It heads the Economic Community for Central African States and is likely to be the next chair of the important regional organization, Economic Community of the West African States, ECOWAS. India has started buying limited quantities of crude from Chad. Chad has also one of the best equipped forces in that region, and its forces were on the front line in Mali. We have a growing development partnership cooperation with them, and we have offered something in the vicinity of more than 100 million lines of credit for various projects. We provide 25 ITEC slots to students from Chad, and we have offered to set up a civil aviation academy. Chad also, as you are aware, is part of the Pan-African network, e-network that we have set up. So that's about the visit of the Foreign Minister of Chad. I also have another announcement from the African continent, and that is about the visit of the Special Envoy to South Sudan. As you perhaps are aware, Mr. P.S. Raghavan, the Special Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, is also the Special Envoy to Sudan and South Sudan. In this capacity, he visited Juba recently and was amongst the first to call on the President, Mr. Salva Kiir, subsequent to his swearing in the new 18-member cabinet in South Sudan. Now, this is reflective of our commitment in partnering South Sudan, which gained independence in 2011. And as you are also perhaps aware, we are working towards the visit of the President of South Sudan to New Delhi later during the month, and the visit of the Special Envoy was preparatory to that visit. For your information, India has also 2 battalions of 2,200 personnel in UNMISS, which is deployed in 2 of the largest states of South Sudan currently. The visit was also helpful in identifying various development projects for South Sudan. Mr. Raghavan, incidentally, is also the head of our Development Partnership Administration. And the areas that we are trying to focus have 2 main components, and that is capacity building and infrastructure development in key areas. of health, education, solar electrification, mining, agriculture, electoral management, and of course hydrocarbons. We look forward to the early visit of the President of South Sudan, and the visit of Mr. Raghavan was successful in laying the path to that. I do not have any further announcements, and so if any of you are interested in the two announcements that I have made, we will first respond to those and then to anything else. Pardon?
When did Mr. Raghavan visit?
He was in Juba on, my understanding, 8th and 9th August. Since you do not have any questions on that, I am now open to answer any other questions that you would want. Yes, Nidhi.
My question is surprisingly on Pakistan. A couple of things. One, Yeah, well, I'll combine them deftly. Nawaz Sharif has apparently said that once again reiterated that he wants talks with India to resolve all issues. While he's saying that, we've also seen an escalation of tensions along the line of control and the international border with these repeated ceasefire violations. We're saying they're doing it, they're saying we're doing it. How do we respond to that?
Well, I'll try and respond to this multiple questions in one by answering once. Yes, we welcome the publicly articulated commitment by the newly elected Prime Minister of Pakistan to seek a relationship with India that is defined by peace, friendship, and cooperation. For our part, India is committed to resolve all outstanding issues with Pakistan through a peaceful bilateral dialogue in an environment free from violence and terror. In the current context and the events of the last week, we see that the upholding of the sanctity of the LOC is vital. It is to us one of the most important CBMs between the two countries. For us, it is vital to uphold the sanctity of the LOC. Unprovoked incidents on the LOC naturally have consequences for bilateral relations. We expect Pakistan to abide by its publicly stated commitment not to allow its territory or territories under its control to be used for terrorism and violence against India. And we also look forward to determined action being undertaken to dismantle the terrorist networks and infrastructure, as well as tangible movement on bringing to justice quickly those involved in the Mumbai terrorist attacks of November 2008. I think I have answered all the points that you raised. Yes, sir. Here.
जिस तरह से भी नियंत्रण रेखा पर एलओसी पर अशांति बनी हुई है और सीज फायर वायलेशन के केसेस बन रहे हैं, इसका कारण क्या मानते हैं फर्स्ट, और दूसरा कहीं इसका संबंध जनरल कियानी के रिटायरमेंट से तो नहीं जुड़ा हुआ है, क्योंकि वो 28 नवंबर 2013 को उनका कार्यकाल पूरा हो रहा है, कहीं उससे तो जुड़ा हुआ नहीं है कि सेना ऐसी स्थितियां पैदा कर रही है? जी,
तो आपका सवाल क्या है?
I have two questions. First,
yes. One question first of all. I only answer one. So one question.
What are the reason of number of ceasefire violation cases are increases continuously?
Okay, I will answer that. That's
yeah.
I think this question needs to be answered by those who are involved in that. We have already said that these are unprovoked violations of the line of control. We have already just now said that for us this is the most important CBM. Therefore, anyone who violates that, your question should be directed to them. Yes, Rajiv. Only one question. You're new here, I suppose, but I always answer one question. Yes, Rajiv.
Akbar, despite $10 million bounty on his head, Hafiz Saeed led the Eid prayers at Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore. Have you taken up the issue with Pakistan and more importantly with the Americans? And also, can you talk about the security level talks which were to be taking place towards the month end, and also Nawaz Sharif and PM talks, meeting possibly, if you are indulgent?
I will answer one. Since you asked three, I will choose the question that I want to answer. You asked more questions than one at your own peril. So I will answer. Let me answer, and I will answer them. And let me take the easiest of your question that you asked about secretary-level dialogue. First of all, my understanding is that we did receive perhaps last month, proposals for some secretary-level dialogue which were to be hosted by Pakistan. Since then, I've just told you that for a peaceful dialogue to proceed, we need an environment free of violence and terror. And certainly what has happened last week does not fit into that. But that said, there was no timeline that you are mentioning about that being held definitely for the date that you indicated. And we are considering these things and have factored all subsequent developments also. We will take a call on this in due time and well ahead of what is required to be responded to. Yes, Shrutajit. Pardon?
I want to ask the Hafiz Saeed question.
What is that question? Can you ask?
Does the Ministry of External Affairs have a view on Hafiz Saeed leading a large prayer on Eid in Pakistan?
I think our view has been articulated on several occasions. We see him as the mastermind behind Mumbai 2008. We see him as somebody who we would like to bring to justice. And we will not rest until we fulfill that. The question of, therefore, from that follows our clear view on anything that he does. Fugitives from justice need to be brought to justice. Yes, sir.
What about MFN status? Pakistan once again refused to give it to India.
Why do I think that this is a sort of a deja vu? We've been on this path before. I don't think you should be surprised about the situation there. And let me clarify, as far as MFN is concerned, this is a commitment for states who join the WTO to abide by it. And all states who abide by it, all states who are members of the WTO are expected to abide by it. What you have asked, we've seen this before, and we've gone down this path. We will continue to address this issue as and when it is required. Yes, Ashwini. Since you miss me very much.
So just wanted to check with you, what's the update on the UK visa issue? So the £3,000 that they were planning to impose, are we talking about taking any reciprocal steps?
My understanding of this is that when we had the last consultations with the UK, this was in the last week of July in London. This matter was raised by our delegation, although we had not received any communication from the UK about what you are saying. But that said, we also had seen news reports on this matter, so we had raised this matter with the UK delegation and articulated our concerns if this were true. We were told at that stage that no final decision has been taken on this matter. This is something that they are working through their internal processes. And at that stage, we informed them that should they intend to proceed further on this, it would be useful to have bilateral contacts at senior levels. And that's my understanding of the situation. We rechecked with them following news reports after that meeting, and were told that the situation remains as it was when they communicated to us last. Yes, Dr. Akhilesh.
So, MEA and Foreign Ministry of Pakistan, we are trying hard, as we heard, that for a meeting between Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. So, do you think that still that working hard is going on, or there is some slackness?
Dr. Akhilesh, you've been covering us for a long time. You also are aware that announcements of meetings take place very few days before these happen. I just announced a meeting which happened earlier this morning. And following by that track record that I would like to abide by, I would counsel all of you to be patient. The dates that you are mentioning are quite some distance away. Between now and then, let us see what developments take place. So let us be patient rather than jump the gun on this and before we announce it, draw any conclusions. Dr. Akhilesh, I answer once. Some of your colleagues can ask me the same question, but once for one person. As many questions as you want. Yes, Smita.
पाकिस्तान ने भारतीय उच्चायोग के साथ और विदेश मंत्रालय के साथ भी शिकायतें दर्ज की हैं कि उनके हाई कमीशंस के बाहर प्रोटेस्ट हो रहे हैं या पीआईए ऑफिस के बाहर खतरा है. भारत की तरफ से इस पर रिस्पांस क्या है? क्या जो सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम हो रहे भारत पाकिस्तान के बीच में उनको भी कॉल ऑफ करने की कोई मंशा है? क्योंकि वैसे कई सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम अभी हाल में रद्द किए गए हैं. कुछ पाकिस्तानी सिंगर्स वगैरह के प्रोग्राम्स लास्ट मिनट कैंसिल हुए हैं.
अगर आप आज्ञा दें तो मैं इस सवाल को अंग्रेजी में जवाब दूं. धन्यवाद. Yes, there have been information conveyed by the Pakistani High Commission to us about concerns about safety and security, both for those who for both the High Commission and its building as well as the PIA and its offices. We have assured them that we will take all necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of Pakistani personnel in their diplomatic missions as well as the premises of the PIA here and in Mumbai. Now, as regards your other question about cultural, these are private choices made by private individuals, and I presume that it's best that you address those questions to them. Yeah. Yes, sir. Just 1 minute, please.
जैसा मैडम ने कहा, आर्टिस्ट के लिए इस तरह कई पाकिस्तान से सिखों के भी ग्रुप्स, सिंधी, हिंदू, मुस्लिम्स के ग्रुप यहाँ आते हैं जिनको वीज़ा नहीं दिया जा रहा और आजकल ज़्यादा रिजेक्ट किए जा रहे हैं. तो क्या जो सीज फायर हो रहा है उसके असर के कारण ऐसा हो रहा है या सरकार की पॉलिसी है कि वहाँ से लोगों को आने के लिए मना कर दिया जाए?
Okay, I think that's a valid question and I will answer on a specific issue. When requests for visa come to us, we take a holistic view of this. Now, we did receive requests for visas recently for Zaireen to visit New Delhi for the Nizamuddin Urs. In this case, we've carefully considered the issue, and as a matter of abundant precaution and caution, we've advised that those Zahirin defer their visit to New Delhi in the current circumstances.
Circumstances like security or the problem at the border issue? Local security or the border issue?
I think we just preceded that question with her question about safety and security of personnel and premises in New Delhi and Mumbai. And my answer to that was quite clear. And when I say abundant caution and precaution in terms of safety and security of the Zairine was the focus. Thank you. Yes, Srinjoy.
Sir, there's a cricket team that has applied for a visa. And as you probably know, what has happened is the board has said that we will approach we will follow the instructions of the MEA and the Indian government. Now, this is for the team that was supposed to come for the Champions League. Now, what has the government decided on it? Will the government ask the Pakistani team to come, or will it not allow to come? Also, sir...
Sinjoy, one question, you know that. Let me answer that. Yes, it is true that we have been approached for visas for a team from Pakistan to participate in the Champions League T20 tournament. But my understanding is that that tournament doesn't start for more than a month. And now that we've received this request, we will carefully examine it and consider all aspects before we take a decision. And once we take that decision, we will communicate it both to those who requested us as well to all of you, since you are always on the ball and know information of what is happening on a minute-to-minute basis. Yes. Gautam.
Sir, today Mr. Lalkrishna Advani has written a blog where he has said that we have told PM categorically that we are not going to support the land boundary agreement with the Bangladesh. Now, after this, today, are you still hopeful that this bill would be passed in the parliament?
I suggest you ask questions related to my pay grade. What you are mentioning is about the leader of the opposition with parliament in session. I suggest a response will only be provided by appropriately in parliament or by an appropriate person. I must confess I am too small to respond to that. Anyone else? Yes, Maha. And
sir, have there been any reports in the last couple of days of any Chinese activities in Arunachal Pradesh?
Maha, I'd like to clarify once and for all on this, that if there are reports on the border, there are agencies who handle this. I represent the Ministry of External Affairs, and I'm willing to answer questions in terms of diplomatic overtures and diplomatic repercussions. Factual situation of what happens somewhere, especially on our borders, I suggest it is best addressed by those who are responsible for the security of our borders. No, you've asked already. No, Srinja, you've asked. Anybody who hasn't asked? Yes, Naz.
Actually, there were some reports that the Chinese were being offered some land for setting up some economic zone in Uttar Pradesh. Is it true?
I don't know how to respond to saying that there were some reports about. I mean, if there are anything specific about specific issues, I'm willing to respond.
It is specific.
Pardon?
It is in the industrial. Yeah.
My understanding is that when there were discussions previously, there were discussions of possibility of industrial zones or industrial parks where Chinese industries would set up. Now, I don't think there are any definitive final decisions taken on this. You may talk of a report somewhere from A state government that they have been approached, or B state government that they have been approached.
From the Uttar Pradesh government.
Yeah, I mean, I will not get into this, but the point is that a final decision on these can only be taken by the competent authorities, both at the state level and in consultation with the center. So, if there is no final decision, I can't communicate to you, because if there is a process which has just been initiated, I can't sit here in judgment on a process. There may be similar other processes. Please, one question.
only one question.
Yes,
This is related to that
I
question.
cannot answer hypothetical questions about a communication received by somebody from somewhere else. The MEA is not in the picture on that. I think I've answered you on that. Yes, Ashok.
Sir, the global GMO lobbyist, ISAAA, has circulated literature distorting India's map. Have you taken cognizance of it, and what you have done?
Ashok, if there is literature which is circulated, there are organizations in India who handle publications. I would suggest that you address these questions to those organizations in India who are in charge of ensuring publications correctly depict India's borders as they are. That said, as far as the Ministry of External Affairs is concerned, we look at publications from outside coming in here which may not have India's borders correctly depicted, and we take it up diplomatically and otherwise outside India. If there are local publications which are published in India, there are other mechanisms available, and I would suggest that you address. Correct. The publications, if there are international organizations, then those international organizations are accountable to Government of India. You have brought this now to my notice. I would suggest that you provide information on this, and we certainly will take it up. If there are international organizations, if they are international organizations, and if these are published outside. If they are published within India, then there are other mechanisms to handle it. But please do provide that information, and we will take it from there. Yes, Manish.
Akbar, our High Commission officials have been summoned in Islamabad at least a couple of times in the last few days. What is the burden of this song? What are they protesting against? And in our view, are those protests valid? I mean, is the contention
I think
valid?
I've answered a lot before you came here about safety, security, etc. and all. I think the answers are available on the record. Yes, Mario.
You can imagine that I will ask you an update about the situation of the Italian Marines. We are reaching 18 months now from the incident. I know that the Italian envoys arrived today, so can you give me some more information from your side?
You would appreciate that providing information before the meeting is neither fair nor proper on my part. Yes, as you said, the Italian Special Envoy, Mr. Stefan de Mistura, will be here. He will once again take this matter up. The issues, as you are aware, relate to possibility of examining witnesses who were there on the ship but are now not now available. And these are matters which are handled by our investigating agencies. They are in touch on this matter. And should any diplomatic requirement be a prerequisite, we will certainly follow it up during our discussions with Mr. Stefan de Mistura. But I think it's not fair for me to tell you in advance of the nature of discussions between him and the External Affairs Minister. I think with that I have responded to... yes, Ranjana, last question.
Sir, could you throw some light on the visit of the Sri Lankan Foreign Minister?
Yes. Yes, the Sri Lankan Foreign Minister is likely to be here on 18th of August. He comes here with an invitation for the Chogam, and so therefore it's related largely to that issue. Of course, when he is here, India and Sri Lanka have a relationship which is extremely close, and we will talk about other issues too, apart from the invitation that he intends to deliver for the Chogam summit meeting in Colombo in November. Maria, last question.
Yes, this is regarding Hindustan Time report last week.
Last
Saturday, yes.
What was it?
I mean, no, the question is very simple. Before, now there is a visit, I know, but before, there was some official step by Indian government toward the Italian authorities regarding the issue.
Yes, we have communicated the views of the national NIA previously to the Italian authorities on what they perceive is the way forward. Thank you very much.